Call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Chisel.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Luce.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Hadley.
Here.
Bergen.
Here.
Consent agenda.
Do you want to hear public comments? Christina Wilchin.
Oh, I am so sorry. Where is she? There she is. Chamber of Commerce update and annual report by Christina Wilchin. She's coming to us via Zoom.
Yeah. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Super. So I did send a packet to Chad middle of last week, so hopefully you all had an opportunity to at least receive it. So I think the chamber is unlike many other businesses in that this year has been drastically different for us as well. Our budget has been impacted, our programming has been impacted, and we've faced many of the same challenges that others have, maybe just in a little bit of a different way. Despite all of those challenges, I think the chamber and staff, we did a lot to meet the business community where they were at and to provide as much programming and support to them as we could. That meant a lot of time following information coming from the state, coming from other chambers, seeing what others were doing and what might work here, and trying to have some communication, even if it was via Zoom, which is not everyone's best way to communicate. And it's also really difficult to have good discussion via Zoom, especially amongst a retail group where maybe we would have 35 people in a call. But we did what we could with all of that. Our doors were closed from around late March, like the 20th or 25th, and we reopened June 8th. Staff was still completely available. I was actually in the office most, maybe all but 3 or so of those days. Still very much available. We sometimes were just an ear, right? A lot of businesses would call and we would hear their concerns, their problems. We couldn't solve all of them. But I think for a lot of people, there was just reassurance that there was a group of people here to help them. There were a number of programs that were available. Economic Development did a great job in setting up their counselors and that small business hotline that people could call and get help to. But we certainly worked with a lot of people in that as well. So one thing I think that's really measurable, the Iowa Small Business Relief Grant that opened, 51 businesses within Winneshiek County got funding out of that program, and nearly $1 million was brought into Winneshiek County through that program. I haven't seen any reporting to know how that compares with other counties and other distribution around the state. I could probably go through the 50 some Excel sheets that they have and get that, but I haven't done that. But I do think that's a pretty impressive number though. And I know it helped a tremendous number of businesses and people get them over a hurdle there. And now the Iowa Nonprofit Recovery Fund, those applications, that process is closed, but they have started awarding some of those dollars. But I haven't seen any reporting on where those funds have gone just yet. We also hosted 4 community connections, we called them. One of them with public health and the local emergency management. We had a really great session with Dr. Ward from Luther College and Dr. Wee from NICC. Great meeting with the team at Winneshiek Medical Center, and then also had a session with Mark Lane. I'm confident we could rehold all of those sessions and probably the content would be very, very different. But good participation in those events, and people were very supportive and complimentary of having that connection. They were all hosted via Zoom as well. Also did a Zoom session with a gentleman from the Iowa Workforce Development Office. We received a lot of questions about unemployment. in everyone's situation, and that is so different. Certainly not qualified to offer any real input on that. And you all may have experienced as well, but calling into workforce development, maybe still, but during that time was an awful hold process and you weren't even sure your call was connected. This gentleman was kind enough and maybe foolish enough to give me his cell phone number. So didn't publish it anywhere, but I did share it with a number of businesses who were having issues, and it was just incredibly helpful. I think that my pounding on the door and having people hear me over and over again, telling them when the government talks about small business, they are not talking about Decorah, Iowa's notion of small business. 50 employees is not an idea of a small business here, right? And so much of the programming that happened and the efforts that were coming out and how people were touting how they were helping small businesses, they were not referring to rural Iowa, and they certainly weren't referring to Decorah. I told a number of people that. Abby Finkenhauer's office calls here frequently. I'm sure some of you get calls from her too. And I just continued to tell them that. And I think that that may be how I landed on the expanding workforce group with the state. So the governor appointed an expanding workforce, a task force to help in that recovery for the state. And there are 6 sort of segments of that. And the workforce component was one of them. Also education, healthcare, quality of life. There's 6 pieces of that. So I think there's maybe a strong dozen people at the governor's level. And then each of those 6 groups there were 35, I think, in the group I was working with. It has been a fascinating experience. A little time consuming. We had a 4-hour Zoom meeting last week. There's another one on September 17th. But following that September 17th meeting, that documentation or those recommendations will go to the governor, and they'll determine what gets implemented and from that level. But it's pretty exciting stuff. Some of our other things that took place, we were given 40 $50 gift cards to Fairway. That was a gift from Fairway Corporate. Because we participate with the Iowa Chamber of Commerce group, we were able to apply for that grant, if you will. So we did receive $2,000 in those gift cards, and we did a nomination process. So employers could nominate an employee to receive the gift cards. That was a lot of fun. I mean, people were overjoyed, people cried, there was a lot of emotion in giving those gift cards out on that day. Specific to retail, we did the buy now, shop later gift card program. I couldn't even have guessed how wildly successful that program was going to be. We had over 60 businesses participate. They were not all just chamber members. We allowed anyone to participate in that program. And we sold gift cards on their behalf. So through that, we sold around 37,000. Any businesses that participated, whatever was sold, they got that full amount. We had a couple of donors that helped us cover the processing fees and so forth that we had in that program. But it was great. It was a very heartfelt program too, both in hearing from people buying the gift cards, but then every time we sent an email and telling businesses the money we were sending to them because of what we had sold on their behalf, that really was zero work for them. We made the gift cards, we mailed them, we maintained the online platform. We were just mailing them checks about once a week or so. And in that March through the end of May timeframe, we also sold $36,000 in chamber dollars. Some of that was that there was a couple of local organizations using them for employee incentives as they were working longer hours and maybe more challenging work in that time. So that was great too. And I'm sure you all saw the video. Tyler Rinkin helped us with that. That was a lot of fun for me to go around with Tyler in that day and make that video. But it reached over 32,000 people. And it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of outreach on that program as well. And then there are still other normal things kind of that go on. We did work on cleaning up our USDA revolving loan program. Minor modifications in that, but for the end user, the application is maybe a fourth of the length that it used to be. The maximum loan amount used to be $25,000. It's now $50,000. So, and not even just since doing that, the application's been sent out to 2 businesses. So hopefully we can get some of those funds put back into work. So we've had that program since I think about 2003, but we haven't had any active loans in the last 3 years, I think. And some of that just as interest rates drop with traditional lending, it's easier to just stick in that avenue and get your funding there. But again, we do have some people that are interested. On the tourism front, those things also really different. The visitor center, we are open again. Slightly different setup. We aren't letting people get their own brochures. We're getting them for them. As you can imagine, it's a lot of directions to Dunning Spring, to the fish hatchery, to Phelps Park, and all of that. We do have some really nice maps with great directions printed right on them, which we had those done a year ago, and they're helpful all the time, but they've been really helpful right now. The visitor guide also, which I think we shared with all of you last year, it is already approaching about a year old, not quite. But through the chamber, we were named the publication of the year with that, with the visitor guide. So that was a lot of fun from our Iowa Chamber of Commerce group. And then we're working on the Visit Decorah website. I think websites are always a lot of work. This is certainly no different. I've seen a mock-up, an official mock-up. Nathan Breitbach-Dirks is helping us with that site locally. Cubic also helped design the overall template for the site, but then it's been staff and Nathan who's really taken it from there. I'm not going to give you any type of deadline on when that site will be live, but we are getting closer every day. We're really working hard to make sure that there's great resources on there while trying to be mindful of membership and what the chamber does daily versus what visitors truly need in planning their trips and striking that balance there. And we're getting there, but there's a lot of content creation and things that it's just been really labor intensive. If you look at the current Visit Decorah site, I'm a little embarrassed we even direct people there, but we will soon have a fabulous new place and home for people to be looking at. So I did share on the packet a mock-up of the homepage on that too. So I could talk all day about things that the chamber does and how we've partnered with people and helped them. I'm sure you're all aware that this is likely to be my last update to the City Council, unless you sneak me back in for something specifically related to hotel motel funds. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions though.
I don't
I
have
have
any
a question, but I do want to say thank you. This was
Of
a great
course.
day, but also thank you for all your service and what you've given as a chamber director.
Thank you.
I second that. You've done an excellent job, Christina. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirk.
Absolutely. I'd also like to say thank you, Christina, for all your time and effort and for what you did, especially under the circumstances the last few months.
Well, I just want to point out to everybody that's listening and everybody in this room that Christina's not only run the chamber, but she's also come up with a COVID plan to get the tourism center reopened. And between herself and Drea and Meg, they have been staffing that. And the visitors numbers are high, and they have done a fantastic job of not only running the chamber, but also running the tourism side of it and making sure people have an enjoyable time when they do come to our community. So hats off for the double duty that you've been pulling, Christina. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Any other comments, questions? You will be missed. You've been extremely valuable for many years, but I'm grateful you're going to be in the community, and hopefully we'll see you in many different aspects. I'll put it that way.
Yep, we're not going anywhere.
Thank goodness. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
Is there anybody who wishes to speak to the council for anything that's not on the agenda? Sure. Okay, see if that's a little better. Okay, consent agenda.
Consent agenda consists of minutes of the August 17, 2020 regular and August 21st, 2020 special council meeting, claims, resolution 3118 approving fiscal 20 street finance report, resolution 3123, a resolution approving municipal securities disclosure policies and procedures, renewal Class C beer and wine license for Fairfield Marriott, including Sunday sales, approve change order number 3 in the amount of $25,797.67, and change order number 4, $41,127.26 for the 2019 street improvement project. Resolution 3119, accepting the 2019 street improvement project as complete. Resolution 3120, a resolution approving the 2020 Winneshiek County Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Plan update. Resolution 3121, a resolution requesting reimbursement from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund. Resolution 3122, preliminary resolution of necessity, Decorah Sidewalks Project 2020.
Thank you.
This is Bergen. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second, Carlson.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Bergen,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Okay. Consider ordinance 1255 approving Alliant Energy franchise agreement, third and final reading.
I would move to approve the third reading and adopt ordinance 1255.
I second that.
Discussion? Chad?
Maybe just one point of clarification. Because of the lateness, there is some language regarding the utility franchise fee in the agreement that says the fee would become effective October 1. That's likely to be possible now if this were to be approved tonight, just because of the final approval processes. The agreement will have to be published, and the agreement then also has to be reviewed by both Alliant and the IUB and signed and submitted back to the city. And so I think an earlier conversation that Wanda and I proposed in the onset of this conversation proposed that you move the franchise fee effective date to January 1. Given the lateness of the adoption and enaction of this franchise agreement, if it passes third reading tonight, we would propose that January 1 implementation of the fee still. Does that make sense?
Okay. Do I need to amend my motion to?
No, that's just language in the agreement that, it is not physically going to be possible to have the franchise fee enacted by October 1 by the time we get it published and get it back from Alliance. So we would just amend the agreement as is to January 1 instead of October 1.
Okay. Anything else?
Just to be, sorry, this is Emily. Is somebody else speaking in the chambers room?
No.
Oh,
So I can speak? It's hard to hear.
yes, you should be able to. I
Okay.
keep hearing that too, but I don't, I think You should be good to go, Emily.
Okay, I just want to verify then that it would increase to 3% July of 2021 and 4% July of 2022. So changing the October date
Yes,
to we would still be on chart. Okay, great.
yep, that's right.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chisel,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce,
No.
Okay,
ordinance passes.
motion passed. Consider ordinance 1254, an ordinance amending chapter 15.08 of the municipal code of the city of Decorah related to property maintenance. First reading.
So just an overview of ordinance 1254, which amends chapter 1508, property maintenance of the city code. Staff had proposed during a previous council work session changes to this ordinance in property maintenance that bring some of the definitions and changes to junk, debris, and junk or motor vehicles more in line with recent changes to the junk and motor vehicle ordinance. Most of the changes are just in terms of definitions or changing wording so that it is in line with that junk vehicle ordinance. You can see the changes proposed in the drop box. They're otherwise relatively minor.
I'd move for approval of the first reading of ordinance 1254.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion? Roll call?
Chisel,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Did you have a suggestion?
I had a recommendation that the council consider waiving the second, third reading and adopting, since this is mostly a ministerial task. So I would ask for the council's pleasure there.
This is Luce. I would move waiving the second and third and adopt.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Okay. Consider ordinance 1258, an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Decorah pertaining to the terms of service for the Civil Service Commission. First reading.
This ordinance is proposed by the city attorney as he has spent some time working through the Civil Service Commission codes. He made reference to some inconsistency between city code and state code regarding terms or length of service terms for the Civil Service Commission. So his recommendation is this ordinance, which amends those terms of service from 6 years currently to 4 years to be aligned with the state code. And I would also note that the city attorney advises that those terms would be effective immediately on a staggered basis, with Annette Swenifus' term expiring April of 2021, Rhonda Albert's term expiring April of 23, and Larry Stevenson's term, if he is appointed, or I guess that seat, he's on the agenda later for appointment, would expire April 24. And so that should be part of this motion.
This is Bergen. I move to approve the first reading of ordinance 1258 and establish the rotating terms as ending in 2021, 2023, and 2024, as Chad just indicated.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion? Roll call?
Bergen,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Sizzle,
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
This is Bergen. I move to waive the second and third reading and adopt ordinance 1258.
Second.
Second, Carlson.
I got a second by Chisel here, Andy.
Discussion? Roll call?
Bergen,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Consider ordinance 1259, an ordinance amending chapter 1076 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Decorah pertaining to snow emergency procedures.
These next two ordinances were also discussed during July council work session. This particular ordinance comes from the city engineer and proposes changes reflecting snow emergency parking requirements to align with actual best practices during times of snow emergency, in a sense reflecting what is actually being done in the field. The significant change is in clarifying odd-even street parking and odd-even days and removing language suggesting until snow has been removed, and making those odd-even parking requirements effective during the snow emergency. Again, minor changes to this ordinance, and you can see them reflected in the copy that's in your Dropbox.
Luce would move ordinance 1259.
Second, Hadley.
Discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Luce would move to waive second and third and adopt.
Second, Carlson.
Bergen. Go ahead, Andy.
Discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Consider ordinance 2060, an ordinance amending chapter 8.44 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Decorah pertaining to yard waste disposal procedures. First reading.
Again, an ordinance and process that was discussed during a recent work session, and proposes changes to the yard waste site and leaf collection during certain times of the year. Minor changes affect the rules, which shall apply in general to all waste disposal sites, and then also clarifies language that stipulates yard waste or leaves during leaf collection in the fall should be placed on the curb, and removes specific dates from the ordinance, allowing the street department and the city engineer more flexibility as to setting dates for leaf collection.
It seems
This
to me
is
that
Bergen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say the three different lengths that are listed in the background of limbs and branches, I find that pretty confusing. I hope it's posted more clearly for the public to understand what lengths are allowed.
Yeah, and I think Jeremy had sent me a correction on that. I thought I had updated that in the copy in the Dropbox, but Jeremy, maybe you can just kind of run through that.
Yeah, this is Jeremy. So yeah, good point. We do have it posted on the website, and some of these are also posted on the sign at the yard waste site. Really, our main concern is just that we don't have super long tree branches, or like we've had in the past, entire trees getting dropped off. So we specify, branches and brush no more than 8 feet, and then firewood, anything over 6 inches in diameter, we want small, around 20 inches or so. So those are the two that we specify.
I think the other thing to make sure that is brought out within the media and just in education is about the yard waste on the curb line, not in the street, because we had that problem last year with late leaf falls and early snow where the drains were clogged and things like that. So to me, the other big thing in this ordinance is that change, that we don't get leaves in the streets.
Do you believe we haven't gotten the motion yet, right?
No. Jeremy, anything else you want to add on that? Thank you for commenting on the dimensions there.
I guess I just would, to clarify, when I say curb line, my intention there is that you can still put it in the curb of the street, just not way out in the street. But the curb line to us, when we don't mind if it's in the street, it's easier for us to pick it up. Our change is more cleaning up some language for alleys, and then the timing of which. So curb line, I guess, maybe needs some further definition, but for us, for how we pick leaves up now, it's easiest if it's actually in the street along the curb, but still in the street.
You want it in the street? Okay.
As opposed
Well,
to on the boulevard.
Yeah, and I think our long-term goal would be to get it out of the street. But for now, with the equipment that we have to pick it up, it's easiest if it's right along the curb.
Oh, this needs to be cleaned up.
Well, and some of the.
Luce would
problem-
move ordinance 1260.
Keel second.
Discussion?
So I think, Jeremy, what you're trying to do is just identify that it really just needs to be right on that curb line in that gutter section, which is about 2 feet, versus using that whole parking space along the street, if you will. I know sometimes people can get them way out into maybe even the full width of a car in a parking space.
Yeah, and I apologize for the confusion. Curb line and our world is a little different, so I can see where that was confusing. But yes, exactly, Chad.
This is Johanna. I'm just reflecting on the discussion we had at the work session on these changes. I think they all make sense, and maybe we just need a layperson's quick video on Facebook and language out both for the snow emergencies and yard waste disposal and for leaf pickup. I think we understand the concept, but if the resolution language is not always clear.
Yeah, admittedly, I was confused because I thought curb line was the curb.
Staff could work on some graphics that go with a press release or something that would help identify that.
That would be great.
And some of the issues last year is people were putting them in the street after everybody, and we got done picking up as well. Is that correct?
Well, and that's part of the reason for removing the dates, particularly in the code, because our leaves fell so late last year, and then
Okay.
snow came early.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel, Bergen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Luce would waive second and third, move to adopt.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Resolution 3123, a resolution of acceptance of the final plat of Mossman subdivision, Phase 3.
I would move for Resolution 3123, accepting the final plat for Mossman subdivision, Phase 3.
Luce would second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Chisholm,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Discussion and possible action on authorizing the city manager minimum authority to consider field changes associated with the 2020 Locust Road Improvement Project.
So just a little background on this. Again, this was discussed at a street committee meeting. I am asking for city manager and city engineer authority to review possible changes in the field associated with the Locust Road Improvement Project. As long as such changes would be less than $5,000 each or up to $30,000 in the aggregate before we'd come back to city council to reset that authority. And of course, I'll clarify that all change orders come to council for approval, but sometimes making changes in the field can expedite the construction process between council meetings. So I would ask that the council consider this authority at $5,000 and $30,000.
I'd move for approval.
Second.
We got Hadley as a second.
Yes. Discussion? Roll call?
Chisholm,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Discussion and possible action on authorization to relocate street department capital equipment expenditures as budgeted.
Jeremy, our city engineers, come forward with an amendment to his capital equipment expenses as approved in the road use tax fund. There's some ancillary funding if he would share the purchase of a new mini excavator. I think that was shared with the water department. His request is that equipment move in or out of that request and that expense, but that the dollar amount remain the same at $110,000 for capital equipment expense, but that he take the bucket truck out of the equation and add lawnmower, disc mower, and a pickup. And if the council is in agreement to this, we would still see final estimates or purchase requests as they come in.
Luce would move we accept the proposed change and how to allocate the resource.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion? Don't think that was discussion. It may have been discussion someplace else.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Okay, roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisholm,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Discussion and possible action on a request to close a parking space at 206 West Water Street, T-Box Sports Bar and Grill, and approving an extended outdoor service area beverage license.
This is a request and application to the council to consider approving one parking space in front of T-Box for outdoor dining. The council previously approved a space in front of Magpie, and it was thought that this space could or would be shared. but it's become evident that a shared space would not meet the needs of each establishment. T-Box owners are requesting removal of the bike rack in front of their store in favor of this space for a table outdoor dining space. The Bachmans also plan on having outdoor alcoholic beverage sales, so this action would include, needs to be clear in the motion, that it approves a space and expanded outdoor service area for their existing license.
I would move to approve the request from T-Box, including the extended outdoor service area for their beverage license.
I second.
Discussion?
Yes, I wondered if the same idea of demarcating that, like was done with the Magpie, would be applied to this?
So it will be necessary as terms of the liquor license that the space be marked or controlled, including, because there's a separation between the establishment and this outdoor space, there needs to be signs that say no alcohol behind this area for the open sidewalk area. And then the owners will need to put up some kind of barrier around the parking space to note that as a designated area. Their application doesn't stipulate exactly what that is, but we did talk about that a little bit at the staff meeting this morning, and both the street department and the police department will work with the Bachmans on determining appropriate barricades.
Thank you.
This is Johanna. With the request to remove the bike rack, would the intention be to locate that elsewhere on the same block?
Johanna, I think it'd be my recommendation at this time, given the lateness of the season, that we just remove that and put it away for the season. We typically pull those in late October, and so I'd recommend we just take it and put it away for the season.
Do we have any, I'm curious only because T-Box actually themselves gets a lot of bike traffic there. Is there, are there bike racks nearby? Do we have ones that used to go on sidewalks? I mean, I do think for the next 2 months, there'll be still a lot of bike traffic being that on the weekends, there's so much trail use.
I think there is one across this.
There's some across the street, and there's some in front of
Okay.
Bank of the West.
Ross's store.
Bank of the
some
West,
hoops,
yeah.
And Bank of the West, there's hoops too, that were put in with the Water Street project.
Bachmans are here if you might have questions for them, or if they would have comments. Mayor, I would ask maybe you would see if they want to speak. So.
Is there anything? Can you come up and just speak into the microphone?
Hi, Mike from T-Box. Just one comment I have. If the bike rack is removed, like Chad said, it's about that time of the year it gets removed anyway. If we continue to stay indoor dining, we won't even probably use that space out there. But to have the fact that it's an option, like if all of a sudden something happens that we don't expect, where that space would be a space that we could use and it's been approved and ADB's already approved it, then we can move out there and take care of those matters and be able to use that space in a nice format for the city. Like I said, if we stay indoor dining, the space will probably just be a parking spot. So it won't be anything, but we would have the barriers, we would have signage for patrons and for the people walking through the sidewalk too. So.
Okay.
You know, going forward, Mike, just a quick question for you and Dom. Would it be helpful to have two spaces, the bike rack space and the one down a bit?
You know, if we weren't open inside, absolutely. You know, the more space, the better. You know, to be able to service the patrons and the visitors that are coming into town. And we all know, I don't think anybody can deny the amount of people that have been coming into Decorah during this time. Every weekend it's packed, the campground. So to still be able to service people and give people a good taste in their mouth about what Decorah is and who we are, for them to come back in a time that we don't have to go through all this nonsense we're going through, you know, it's just a better option for all of us. Absolutely.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, are you asking for too little, and should we consider two spaces instead of just one? And can we do that tonight?
the council could do that or not. I just, on my behalf, with the fact that we have the 3 tables out in front of our restaurant already and 1 more parking spot, I think would be sufficient for our restaurant, with the fact that people can still have food to carry back to their campgrounds or whatever if a situation arose. So I think the 1 spot would be great. We could probably put 3 tables out there, so that'll allow us to have probably six tables to service out there if we needed to. So at this point, I think 1 spot would be enough.
I did notice that on your drawing, you've got 3 that are out there, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so, okay.
Chad,
Yes.
is it something that we could authorize? So thinking about that space that's between the Magpie space and T-Box there, is it something that we can authorize you to say that if Magpie or T-Box needs to expand, that they can do that without coming back to the council into that space? Or do we need to have them come to council?
You know, I think it probably would be best if you came back to council.
Okay.
The way it was framed tonight, and then, of course, if there are changes to the liquor license, I think that should be a deliberate action as well.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Hadley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Chisel,
No.
Bergen.
Aye.
Okay. Consider methods to fill council's seat vacancy.
Ward 5 councilperson Johanna Bergen has tendered her resignation on the city council effective tomorrow, September 9th, due to a move outside her ward, mayor. And so at this time, the council must decide the method of replacement for the council seat. Staff's identified 2 options available. They're listed in your background notes. Appointment of the seat by the council from submitted and qualified applicants. And just a few of the points there. The appointment must be made within 60 days of vacancy, or November 8th. Notice of vacancy published within 4 and 20 days of appointment. Publish, I think Wanda said September 17th, pending action tonight, for appointment on October 5th. You may not make the appointment until after the vacancy occurs, which is September 9th. Or the council may elect to hold a special election. Election must be held and seat filled within 90 days of vacancy, and at least 32-day notice to the county auditor to prepare for a ballot.
This is Luce. I'm under the understanding that there's 1 year left on former councilperson Bergen's term. So I guess I would favor appointment for that 1 year and then just have a regular election in another year.
Carlson here. Chad, what does it cost again for a special election?
I would ask Wanda that. About $2,500.
Okay, and the appointment's free, so I'm gonna go with appointment.
Yes, that's right.
You want to vote on that, Chad?
You need a motion on what you're going to do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get pushed for an election anyway.
We need,
Let's hope not.
we
I mean-
need- we need a motion to move one way or the other. Steve, did you?
Yeah,
Make a
Luce would move that we favor the appointment and try that.
Okay,
Second, Carlson.
further discussion? Roll call?
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel,
No.
Bergen.
Abstain.
Sorry. Hadley
Aye.
and Johnson.
Aye.
Chad, might you just say just a bit about any interested parties, how they would, where they would send their letter of intent
So typically, letter of intent and qualifications, which qualifications are that you are eligible age and are a resident of Ward 5. Wanda will publish notice on September 17th, and it's our recommendations that submitted applications for appointment would be filed in the city clerk's office by noon, October 1st, because that is the deadline for the agenda for the October 5th meeting.
Okay, thank you. Consider board and commission appointments. Civil Service Commission, reappointment, Larry Stevenson.
I'd move to approve Larry Stevenson for the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
Second, Carlson.
Discussion, roll call.
Chisel,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Planning and Zoning Commission, we had 4 applicants. Terry Barnes, Burns, thank you. Rebecca Swella, Brad Wicks, Steve Zittergren. I know that I was looking for females for gender equity, and my recommendation is for Terry Burns.
I'd move for Terry Burns to be appointed to the Planning and Zoning.
Luce with second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call.
Chisel,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
I want to thank the people that put in an application for this. It's not easy to get people at times. And I appreciate the people that submitted. Human Rights Commission, Maria Leitz?
Leeds.
Maria Leitz. Is that right, Emily?
Yep.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve Maria Leitz for Human Rights Commission.
Second.
Any discussion?
Who seconded that? Johnson?
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion? Roll call.
Neal,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Bergen,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Historic Preservation Commission, Mark Branham.
I'd make a motion to approve Mark Branham for the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second, Kirk Johnson.
Discussion? Roll call?
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Carlson,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Bergen.
Aye.
Open seats yet? Communication Utility Board. Chopper said they're meeting tomorrow night, I believe, and we'll pass the word on in hoping to get that seat filled. City manager, department head, and council reports.
The first thing, just taking a cue from the last council conversation regarding ordinance 1257 face coverings, I did put this under city manager, department head, and council reports, just to engage the council in any conversation or updates since the ordinance was passed at your last meeting. Just give you the opportunity to comment on this on agenda in a formal sense. If there's been any communications you'd had, now would be a good time to just talk about them.
I I did listen to Chris's report from Board of Supervisors. Currently, and her report is a little different than what's stated just because of the way things are reported, but she said there were 22 active cases that are isolating at home and doing well. They're working hard at doing tracing, and she does a lot of calls with schools and businesses. I wanted to make note that I had a conversation with Lisa Radix from Winneshiek Medical Center, and I learned that the building that used to be the optical building is a respiratory center, a separate respiratory center. So if there's anybody that needs to be in quarantine, that is set up now for medical. There have not been a high number. They have used some, but I don't have any current numbers on that as of today. You can go on to the Board of Supervisors or to the Winneshiek organization where the Board of Supervisors is, and there is a corona numbers that you can go on and check regularly as well. Anybody else have any other comments? Hearing none?
Mayor, I have two just for council consideration that have come up since the last meeting. Under one of the whereases that lists CDC guidance on mask use, item number 4. Kirk, I think actually you'd sent some updated information on the age of children or youth, where the CDC had recommended face coverings should not be worn by children under the age of 2, and I think that information has been updated.
Has it been updated by the CDC, or was that a WHO
Yes.
recommendation?
WHO.
WHO, okay. So that would just be one point that I marked here that the council ought to continue to consider if you would look at future amendments to this ordinance, just to stay current. The other is under exemptions, number 3, item I, participants in interscholastic and youth sports are exempt from this order. There may be other athletic competitions, practices, or other such related items that maybe need some further clarification or discussion. Again, not necessarily at this time, but as you consider this as subsequent meetings, that may be something else to think about.
Might we collect those, and as we go along and we see changes that go along, and bring them forth at a certain time?
Yeah, and if it's all right with the council, I'll just keep a working copy through these discussions, and if council directive is that you wish to make amendments or changes, we'll have a working document moving forward.
Was there going to be were we going to set a date on when we were bringing this back to council for any amendments?
I think Councilperson Bergen had suggested a mid-November date during some earlier conversations that may or may not still be relevant.
I'm good with the mid-November date.
I'm actually in favor of looking at the WHO UNICEF recommendation that children under 5 be exempted from mask. I haven't gotten a letter from the Nisi Child Care and their situation. The director talking about the difficulty in 3, 4, and 5-year-olds not playing with their faces and keeping masks on, and even the CDC's information about younger children maybe not being the spreading factor that 6 and up are. So I would be more in favor of looking at a different exemption.
You want to note that on we can look at that as we go along.
Yes.
So we could bring that particular exemption back earlier. I think that's going to change in the CDC too.
We check to see about what the regulations are for schools and daycares or whatever, if they are anything different than what we have. Okay. Okay, anything else, Chad?
The only other thing is that I do need to ask for an Economic Development Committee meeting. I would propose that you consider that after the September 21st regular council meeting. I have a couple of commercial tax abatement applications for you to consider. And then finally, just a reminder of the Employee Appreciation Picnic on Thursday, September 10th from 4 to 6 at the campground.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thanks. Wanda?
Very quickly, the annual finance report for fiscal 20 will be published on Thursday. And after that, of course,
We can't hear Wanda at all.
Uh,
the fiscal 20 annual finance report will be published on Thursday. And after that's published and I get the affidavit of publication, it'll be submitted to the state.
Thank you, Wanda.
Thank you, Wanda.
Yes, thank you. I know that's a big report to get in and off to your,
Yeah.
good one to have done. Let's see. Don't want to miss anybody, if anybody of the staff have any other comments?
Department head reports are generally still in the Dropbox. It seems to be working well right now since staff are here, there, wherever.
Okay, Chopper.
This is Chopper, just checking in. Part of the sound is been upgraded here at the last Board of Adjustment meeting and tonight, so hopefully the sound was better on your end. We are still waiting for some parts to come in, so hopefully everything else will be finalized probably the first or second week of October is our goal. So it'll be a little while before we get everything finalized, but just wanted to give you a heads up.
Andy, do you have anything?
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Nothing from Randy? Russ?
I have been talking to Scott Drzminski, the Director or the Economic Development Liaison from Alliant Energy, regarding street lighting and electric vehicle chargers. So as we move forward with Alliant, there are just things within the street realm that we could be partnering on, as well as looking toward their new campus.
Okay. Steve?
Yes, economic development wise, pleased to read about the Hy-Vee opening on the 22nd and the fruition of some efforts that we've put in. So thank you all for supporting all that work. I'm curious about how our apartment complex Echo is doing and when do we hear more about that?
So while not required, Steve, the developers have submitted a building plan to me. And I think that just simply shows that they have the building plans mostly complete. They did ask for my input, even though the site plan's already been approved. And as far as construction goes, we don't approve building plans. So they continue to move.
Any suggested timeline?
I don't have that information.
Thank you.
Emily?
Well, without crying, I guess I would really like to give a giant, huge, enormous shout out to Johanna and her service on the city council. I know for me, quite honestly, you've been a role model. I look to you and I find you to be incredibly diplomatic and honest and thoughtful. And it's going to be a tremendous loss, I think, to Decorah and to the council to not have your voice as part of a decision maker. So I guess I want to say thank you very, very much. And I'm very sad to see you go.
Andy?
Emily just kind of stole my thunder. I wish we'd go in order because I was going to say, it's been fun the 3 years that you've been on. I agree with Emily that it's going to be a huge loss. And yeah, I hope we stay in touch. And big shoes to fill. That's all I got to say. So thanks again for your service. And it's really appreciated.
Kurt?
Also, thank you, Johanna, and I have nothing more to add.
I only have that I know where you live. At least if we can use you as a resource, that would be beneficial, but I too will miss having you at the table.
Can we nominate you to the Communications Utility Commission?
Oh yeah, welcome to
Yeah.
Board 2, the best board, Johanna. Woo,
Right?
woo, woo.
There's no better way to make Zoom work better for you at your new house.
You might get a lot of lobbying like that, but thank you very much for all that you've done while you've been at the city council. Any other?
What, do you want her to say a few parting words?
Johanna, would you like to say a few words?
I thought you were going to let me off the hook there, Lorraine.
A few words.
No, only a few tonight, Steve. Yeah, just thank you to everyone for your kind words tonight, and also just a lot of really good work for Decorah these last 3 years. Some of you know that I was on a mission to get a woman elected in Ward 5, and no one would say yes to me, and so it ended up being me putting my name on the ballot, and it's been an honor and a privilege, and I've loved most of the minutes. And have a long log of things that I have learned, many of which I didn't know needed to be learned. But a huge thank you to staff, Chad and Wanda, especially just leading a really fantastic team in Decorah and helping your council make good decisions. And thank you to all of the current council members and past who I was able to serve with. Decorah is in really good hands, and I love the way that we've been able to work together and the decisions and actions that we've been able to make happen here in Decorah. And while I'm not immediately volunteering for the communications committee, I am interested in continuing to commit my time and service to Decorah, and I'm looking forward to all of the other ways that I can offer my service to the community. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And just a reminder to anybody in Ward 5 that wants to join this happy group of learning and serving that comes up, be sure and get your name in. Anything else? Ask for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
So moved. Thank you very much.